So, I guess we'll start off the podcast by saying welcome MTV Cribs. It's my crib. Shout out to Kyler and Jay, the goats, for letting us crash the crib and use it for today's podcast with the infamous Food Coma Eats, Jesse.
Yeah, what's up? What's going on, boys?
Thanks for joining us, mate.
Oh, pleasure.
So you can't.
You go.
Mate, I've been following this guy for like at least 3-4 years, like a while, man. And he's built up a huge following. Like you didn't have anywhere near this amount of followers a couple of years ago. Like you had good following, but
I had pretty good following. I don't know, man. Just kind of you blink and then it's there.
So, let's start there, I guess. How did you end up growing your following to amass 352,000 Instagram followers?
That's a good question.
Is it the socks? He's got odd socks
definitely.
on.
I've got odd socks, and
Is
one's
that on
beer
purpose?
and one's Rick and Morty.
Yeah, nice.
I think it's that eccentricism that really gets me around. No, yes, it is on purpose, but man, I could come up with some really colourful, fun way to explain it. But in reality, it's really just working with trends and understanding the Instagram algorithm and basically reverse engineering what the platform wants.
Yeah.
The better you understand what the platform wants, the better that you can cater to that, and the better you can create content to try and bump yourself up. That being said, it's not always easy.
Yeah.
You know, you don't always know what the algorithm's doing.
It's changing all the time,
yeah,
right?
it's changing every few months, you know, and people's wants are changing. Like 3 years ago, big over-the-top food challenge burgers were all the thing, you know, and nowadays people just want to see like home cooking. They want to see,
it's true.
you know, the real thing right in front of them, exactly what they can do in their own home.
That's true.
It needs to be accessible, you know.
So what type of content is hot at the moment? Not the actual what's presented, but like for example, real estate guys. What should they be posting? Should it be reels, pictures? Like, what's the secret there at the moment?
Oh man, this is going to really hurt a lot of your feelings, but the more effort that you put in doesn't necessarily always mean that you're going to get
so
more
true.
views on a platform like Instagram. I'm not taking anything away from Facebook marketing.
So you're telling me I spent all this money, we spent all this money on this gear for absolutely nothing?
No, because what you guys are doing is very different. You know, you're providing, this is like Spotify, this could go on YouTube, this can go, you know, this is on Facebook, you can put ad money behind it, you know. But on a platform like Instagram and TikTok as well, it's all a lot more memey nowadays. Like people just want to see real stuff. People want to see relatable things. You know, they want to see what's something that happens to you in your life that other real estate people could really understand, or home buyers, or you know. What is a process in the real estate industry that is just so relatable that people, you know, just they can't avoid getting involved in it. You know, like when my wife and I were looking at a place, when we were talking to the real estate agent about our place getting valued for our mortgage, he was like, "Oh, bloody the valuers, they just screw us over every time."
Yeah.
So. Yeah, if I could really boil it down to anything for Instagram and TikTok, this is not for content creation in general. I think Instagram and TikTok, pull back a little bit and don't try and oversell.
Yeah.
Just have fun. Be yourselves, have a personality, create content that makes you feel happy and makes you laugh and makes you enjoy it. Look for trending sounds, obviously. Like you kind of got to look into like trending sounds, like things on Instagram Reels and TikTok that are just pumping at the moment.
The music.
So like there was Chrissy Wake Up. That was a big one on TikTok recently. You know, like
I don't have TikTok.
Stranger Things. No? Have you not seen Stranger Things?
Have you watched it?
Dude, who are you?
I swear I've heard of that show once. I saw it on this Netflix thing.
This is hard.
I'm so sorry.
No. It's all good.
I don't have TikTok either.
No, TikTok is just a whole nother thing.
But mate, it's crazy. Like with the TikTok side of things, I've only just started, but Jack's massive into it. The stuff you do on the app gets way more views than the stuff that's pre-filmed.
Yes. Yeah. You got to film on app. You got to use their sounds. You can't use your own tracks.
Yeah.
Man, it's just every single social media platform has its own algorithm. It's got its own way of producing things. And you really just, Instagram, TikTok's just fun.
How'd you learn that? Is it just from Googling and YouTube and stuff, or are you doing courses?
I guess when you first start out, it is a lot of Google.
Yeah.
But then you realize that every Google article says the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
Over and over and over and over. It's like, oh, just be yourself. Just create content that makes you happy. And make sure it's well lit. And, it's like, okay, it's not really nitty gritty. Like, where's the nitty gritty in there? What really matters when you're creating content on these platforms? And the only way that you ever do find out, if you want to be the first person to find out, is to trial and error.
Yeah.
And also guess what the platform wants. Like Instagram, for example, they brought out Reels about 3 years ago. In fact, probably 3 years ago to the month. It was August 2019. I was immediately on Reels. I was okay, what do I need to do here to create content that suits that platform and Reels? And so I took what I was doing on TikTok, funnily enough, and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to change that to Instagram Reels. And then it just blew up, man.
Yeah. Is that when... Sorry.
Nah, you're right.
You go.
Is that how you blew up the account with the Reels?
It was one of the stages. I think like my account goes through like hibernation phases, and then it goes through growth phases. And like that just is a product of life. You can't always be growing. There's points in life where things are just static, and that's okay. You just kind of need a reset where you're looking at. So if I could really if I were to say, there was probably about 4 or 5 growth stages in my account. The first growth stage was me doing the food coma, like competitive eating stuff. It was crazy. Like people loved it. Photos, it was mainly photo-based stuff, just photos of my challenges. I wasn't really good at photography back then. I didn't understand how to do any of it. And then the second growth stage was more just kind of dynamic video. So not edited, just video that's on the spot of, things like cheese pours and, cutting burgers in half and showing the inside, stuff like that. Then the third growth stage was doing carousel posts. Photo and video on carousel posts, so you can tell a bit of a story there. And then the fourth growth phase was back to just video again. And then it just changes, man, and you can't really nut it down to a science, which is frustrating.
Yeah, well, that's why I guess we're trying to crack now. I guess like this is your job now.
Yeah,
what you do.
Yeah.
Have you? I don't know what you were doing previous to that. Did you have a real? I know you've got this as a real job. But did you have a real job?
I've never had a full-time job in my entire life.
income.
Yeah,
You're kidding.
That being said, I've worked 4 or 5 jobs at a given point.
Yeah.
So, straight out of high school, I was working like 4 jobs, and I was living out of home.
Yeah.
I lived like a kilometre from my parents, so it wasn't that far.
Yeah.
But that being said, like I made the decision to, go out there and live life. I lived with a couple of strangers, and I was working, 4 jobs at the time. I was at Rebel Sport. I was a swim coach. I was a surf coach, and I was a Chinese delivery boy.
Wow.
Yeah. So like but none of it was ever a full-time job.
Yeah. So what drew you into this? How did this come about?
It all kind of started from the YouTube stuff. So I was living out of home, 21, 22 years old. And I was doing intermittent fasting for health reasons. I was like, I was really into the gym, still am, but I was doing 8 hours of eating and 16 hours of fasting. So I ate bigger meals, and then I ended up eating bigger meals. And then, my mate was like, oh, have you ever heard of competitive eating? And then and then it's this like whirlwind and this snowball effect. And so it took me about 9 months before I went kind of full time. I gave everything else up. I was like, I'm going to quit all my jobs, and I'm going to have a fair crack at this.
Yeah.
Fair crack at eating, or
Fair crack
content?
at that time. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I was,
Something to do with food.
I'm going to ride this out. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I'm whether it's me becoming a YouTube competitive eater and I get my money through Google,
Yeah.
and through collaborations with brands and them paying me to go into their restaurant. But eventually it turned into, well, I understand the Instagram platform well enough to tell people that I can grow their Instagrams. And that's where that's kind of what became my full-time job. And it's definitely full-time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're doing that for other people at the moment?
Yeah. So my current job has nothing really, not heaps to do with my actual Instagram page.
Yeah. Okay.
My current job is to create content for restaurants around Sydney and help promote their business and come up with strategies for their business through content creation and through Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, ad spends, stuff like that. And so that involves me spending time and now my staff spending time with people in their restaurant, creating content, doing
So you got a
photo
team
video.
now?
Yeah, like I mean, it's a bit much to call them a team. There's two of them, you know.
Yeah.
And like I'm looking to grow, but it's hard to find people. Well, it's hard for someone to love the business like you do, you know.
Yeah.
And also it's a job that's hard to hire for. Like, what do
Yeah.
I hire? Do I hire someone who's doing a social media university course, which I'm pretty sure there's like maybe one.
Yeah.
You know, do I hire someone out of TAFE that's doing photography? Do I hire someone out of TAFE doing videography?
Yeah, who do you go to?
Yeah, exactly. How do you hire for that?
Just don't talk to Javon behind the camera. But he's ours.
Yeah, that's all right. I'm not a poacher. I don't poach.
Yeah, and touching base on your competitive eating.
Yep.
So you won 2 Guinness World Records.
Yep.
Talk
Yep.
about that.
I don't even remember how the first one came about. I think it was a pastry shop, an Italian pastry shop.
Yeah.
They had a PR agency, and the PR agency organised with Guinness World Records to do a cannoli eating competition between me and at the time the number 1 competitive eater in Australia,
Yeah.
Isaac HD.
Yeah, yeah.
And this was back in 2018. We're really going.
Why weren't you in there, Kevin?
Oh, mate. I don't know. I eat a lot, but I can't eat fast.
Yeah. I mean, you'd be good at the marathon events, maybe.
Yeah, the marathon events, I'd kill ya.
There you go. Over an hour, you smash
kill
me.
ya.
I'm no good after 10 minutes. So we ended up going on Studio 10 for that.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
they had it, like it was nationally televised on Studio 10, and we sat down in front of this particular pastry shops, cannoli, and we did a eat-off to
Yeah.
see who could eat the most cannoli in 30 seconds. The rules are pretty... so Guinness World Records, very, very strict usually with the rules. But the rules for this one weren't too bad, actually. I was quite surprised. They allowed us to drink water. They allowed us to... We didn't have to show our mouths to the adjudicator.
Yep.
And so we did this eat-off, right? And it was heated. 30 seconds of just like pure gluttony. 2 dudes just going at it, eating these like delicious pastries, but like, and they're sharp too, because it's like a
Sticking in your mouth
because they crumble and they get in your mouth. And anyway, like it was a flurry. And like after everything finished, they were like, oh, okay, so we've got the winner here, and with 8 cannoli. And I was like, holy crap, I consumed 8 of these things. It's got to be me. And then they said, Isaac HD. And I was like, what?
And this is live on TV?
This is live on television.
Yeah, okay.
This is live on television. So I was just like, I was absolutely shattered. I was like, I can't believe this. I feel like I ate the most. I feel like I at least ate 8 of them. Yeah. At least. So I said, look, I don't want to cause a bit of a problem, but I'm pretty sure I ate 8 of them. So can we kind of review the footage?
Oh, no.
And so they reviewed the footage, and the poor adjudicator, this guy from Guinness World Records. This guy, he just looks so uncomfortable.
Oh no.
So he comes over and he's like, look, yeah, we've made a mistake here.
Was that live as well?
No, not
is
live.
after.
This is so we're off TV at this point. And I hope I'm not ruining any relationships here. But basically he admitted to me that he got it wrong, and then I was like, well, okay, this just happened on national television. Is there any way for us to kind of reverse it live?
Wow.
Because I was like, this is like, I'll say to people, oh, I've got this Guinness World Record, and they'll be like, oh yeah, well done, mate. You didn't actually get it. And I was like, no, I'm serious. So we spoke to the producers, and they were like, oh, nah, sorry, can't do that. So I was pretty shattered, and I put up a responding YouTube video, which I was just like, hey, like, this is actually what happened.
I'm so comfortable right now.
Yeah, it makes your skin tingle. But then
How many did he eat?
he ate 7. So I beat him.
You pipped
I
him.
beat him. Yeah, because I remember. This is how I knew. Because I remember I had it laid out in front of me. I said, I'm going to eat 2, drink water. Eat 2, drink water. And I went through 4 bouts of that. And I was like, I definitely had 8. Anyway, so as an apology, they said, oh, look, is there another record you want to go for?
Wow.
And I was like, cool. I mean, so I had a look, and I found it online that there was the record for jam donuts eaten in a minute was 3. And I was like,
What?
easy.
3?
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna hit up Guinness World Records.
Just wait. Anyway, so I was like, all right, let's do that one. And so then they put me again on live television the next week, not with old mate. It was just me.
Yeah.
And I had to eat 6 jam donuts, but they were very strict with this one.
Yeah.
Weren't allowed to drink water.
Oh, wow.
And I wasn't allowed to lick my lips,
What?
What?
which I feel
Really?
like is a really random
That's a
rule.
weird rule.
I don't know.
That's
Maybe
rough.
maybe
That's
in
a
their
weird
mind
rule.
they're like, oh, if the sugar gets stuck on your lips, it's harder to eat. I don't know. Anyway, I doubled the record, which was cool. So I was like,
Did you practice before you did it?
yeah, I was practicing in it's like their waiting room for the
Oh, so didn't even practice like days before? Just
just kind of on the spot. I was,
wow.
Was it the same judge?
No.
He was gone. He's
I don't know if
fired.
he's got a job. From what I know with these guys, I don't think it's their full-time job. I think it's just like they
hobby.
get called up.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow. So 2
Wow.
world records.
Yeah.
huh?
2 world records. Pretty cool.
And then you're pretty into that, and then
Yeah.
you had a pretty bad accident.
Oh yeah, you know about that.
I know that. Well, yeah, we do our research.
Okay. Yeah. You spoke to Nick.
No, it's on the Instagram
Oh
actually.
really?
Yeah,
oh
yeah.
yeah. I guess I was pretty open about it.
Yeah, well, let's be open about it. Let's tell the
Alright,
listeners.
alright.
He ended up in a pretty bad accident
Yeah,
when he
it's
was
pretty
pretty
horrible.
full time, and yeah, run us through that too. You got some good
I've
stories.
got some great stories, man. I've lived some life, eh? Yeah, so I was 2019. I was super into snowboarding. Loved it, obsessed with it. Just got a brand new board. Business was just starting to kick, and I was kind of busy. And I was snowboarding now Mount P and Mount Perisher for those. Yeah. And this, so actually, we actually think I fractured it before this happened, and then I had another kind of accident. So what happened was, I was coming down the mountain in Mount P on one run, and I was going over a crest, and there was a skier in front of me. And when you're going over these crests, it's pretty common knowledge. You don't stop really, because like people can't see. If you're going over a crest, people can't see. You stop at the top of the crest, right? Anyway, he came down this crest, and out of nowhere, so he was traveling to the right, I was following his line so that when he turns left, because they do the snake, they go left, right, I was hoping that when he turns left, I could go around him and go right. But instead, he turned right and stopped. And I was like, oh no, like split-second decision. I had like 2 meters of room, and I was probably going pretty fast. And so my initial reaction, like your first reaction is to turn your board and stop.
Yeah.
But if I did that, that board is going straight into his ankles and he's going to have sawdust for ankles.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I was like, okay, the next best thing is to just fall forward. So I fell forward so that my back kind of took out his legs. So instead of my board, which is quite hard, my body mass kind of took out his legs, and then we kind of tumbled for a bit. And I was like, oh, it's like that kind of hurt. But I was like, oh, no, all good, no worries. Like kind of like moved my shoulder around. I was like, all good, sweet. Kind of like bleeding arm, but I was like, yeah, whatever. So I went for another run down Mount P, probably about an hour later. And I didn't really have heaps of pain in my shoulder, but I was like, oh, that's like a little bit tight. I thought I just pulled a muscle or something.
And you were still doing it even if you thought you pulled a muscle.
Yeah. I was like, this is so fun.
Oh.
Very much like, whatever, bro. And then coming down Mount P again, and there was this kind of tight section. It was only probably about 4 or 5 meters wide. And there was a bunch of skiers in front of me.
Skiers.
Yeah, I hate them. No, I'm kidding. There was probably about like 8 or 9 of them in front of me, taking up the entire length of it, width of it. And I was like, oh, there's no way I can get around these guys. And from my last experience, I was like, okay, if I'm going to stop halfway down Mount P like that dude did, I'm going to look and check to make sure no one's behind me. And so I went to look and check, and as I turned up, I didn't quite time my legs properly. And so the edge of my board caught the ground, and I just went flying, like absolutely flying. And I was 100 kilos, so it wasn't like it was a small amount of mass. And so I landed right on the tip of my shoulder, and it just shattered.
Game over.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah, it shattered. I had no idea either. I was sitting there afterwards. I was like, oh man, this is really sore. And like my mate was in front of me, and I went to like move like that, and I was like, oh, that's. Oh, sorry, no, I went like this, and I was like, yeah, I think I can move it. It's all good. And then I went to move it forward, and my whole arm spasmed, and like I was like, oh no, this is actually pretty bad. This is pretty bad. So then I had to
Straight to the bar, or
I think I was in shock.
Yeah.
And so they called the paramedic dude up, and he was like, do you reckon you could make it down the mountain? I was like, you kidding me? No way. I was like, dude, like I can't get up. I couldn't stand up. I was like, I can't stand up because like anytime I moved, my whole shoulder would just shoot pain.
Yeah.
Anyway, I went down to the medical center. Sorry, got down the bottom. I said, do you have any Panadol? He said, nah, sorry, can't help me. I was like, I thought you guys had green whistles. So like that would have been nice. End up getting in this truck. It takes us to the medical center, but it's on like, it's not wheels, it's like tracks. So it's like bouncing on the road. And I'm like, oh, this is so painful. Can we just stop?
Oh no.
We get to the medical center. They're like, oh, we think you've just done an AC joint. And I was like, okay, cool. That's all right. Do you have any painkillers? And they're like, oh, we might be able to get you some Panadine for it. And I was like, cool. All right, that's a start. There we go. We got something. And they gave me Panadine for it. And I was like, yeah, it's not really scratching the sides. I'm still in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And then my mate came in and he was like, dude, your face was white. I was like, white in the face. I was like, oh, no. Anyway, they took me in, and then they took a scan of my shoulder, and they're like, yeah, you've shattered your collarbone. And yeah, there was a process. Then we had to go all the way back to Sydney, 6-hour drive, shoulder, like with jumper underneath, holding it together. Had to sleep that night. And then we went to the doctor. They were like, go to the emergency. And I was like, oh yeah, probably a good idea. And then we went to emergency. The surgeon came over to me. He's like, look, you got 2 options. You can either not get surgery, and it may take longer to heal, but it will probably heal a bit better, and you won't have to get the plate out, or you can have surgery and it will heal quicker. And but you'll have to get the plate out. Or you don't have to, but you can choose to get the plate out. I was like, okay. He's like, let me just go have a look at your X-ray. And he comes back. He's like, Oh, yeah. I think you need surgery. I was like, oh, yeah, thanks for telling me that. She didn't even look at my bloody x-ray.
No.
Yeah, so that was an experience. And the aftermath for that was pretty rough, I had one day off work. I was straight back into
That's it.
Couldn't drive.
You're an animal.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Jeez.
I couldn't do that.
I'm about to go to the snow on the 5th of September.
So that's the process. If you break anything, you have to drive 6 hours. There's nothing closer.
Yeah, I think you can go to Jindy, but it's private.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so I didn't have health insurance. I just had Medicare. Some pleb.
Yeah.
Wow.
Here's a question for you. Like, you eat massive burgers and all this.
Yeah.
Is that what you actually eat?
Yeah.
That's what you eat every day?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, most of it. Yeah.
And
So-
every day you'll have a burger.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, without a doubt.
How many days in a row do you reckon you've had a burger for?
I mean, like I don't like
Chicken
there's-
or beef?
Like I guess when I've been overseas, or like when I was on my honeymoon with my wife, I had like maybe 4 burgers rather than like one every day. I had one every like 2 days. But
Wow. So I don't understand how you look so ripped. Like, how does that happen?
It's a ever changing equation. I think a lot of it is fasting for me. I find that very helpful. I don't eat breakfast, so that reduces a lot of calories. I train every day pretty much, like 6 days a week, 4 days weights, 2 days cardio. I'm tall. That helps. Being tall helps. Like being taller helps. It means that I naturally have to burn more calories to move my body. Probably also the fact that I was able to put on quite a fair bit of muscle mass actually helps burn calories, because the larger mass you are as a human, whether it's fat or muscle, you actually burn more calories. So for me, I just burn calories more efficiently because I'm smaller. Like 100 kilos of muscle versus 100 kilos of fat looks very different. But 100 kilos of muscle burns just as many calories as 100 kilos of fat.
Yeah, okay.
If that makes sense.
How much are you weighing now?
I'm about 96, 97. Yeah.
Gee whiz.
Yeah.
So I just got the wrong genetics. So that's the only thing. It's nothing to do with my eating.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And like I understand nutrition very well. I don't have a degree in it, but I spent a long time trying to understand it. Yeah.
Cool. So, and your job's obviously very like odd hours. So, like, what is it? What does a day in the life of Food Coma Eats look like? Like, when do you actually get to train? When are you getting to the restaurants?
Could be, man. I mean, it depends on the day. So I'll give you 2 different typical days. So a day where I start straight off the bat is like I wake up, get in the car, go, and then that's my day. So it's usually when I'm traveling longer distances. Like I've got clients in Kiama and Wollongong, and so I'll literally get in the car, I'll drive for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and then get to the client. Usually I'll have maybe 45 minutes to an hour between the first client and the second client. I'll just get in the gym and I'll just go berserk for 45 minutes to an hour, and then I'll get to the second client and then drive home, and then I've got to edit when I get home as well. So like it's a 13, 14 hour day when you've got, when I'm traveling that much. Typical day, probably it depends on, right now we've got people doing renovations above us. So it's been a struggle. Like I'm struggling to get up as early because I keep getting woken up, or
really?
I either get woken up or I have a really shit morning. And so my mornings are so important to me. I find if I've got like drilling and shit going above me, I like to kind of like work my way into the days that I'm not traveling as much. Like I still travel probably 3 hours in the car that day, but I'm not traveling 6 hours. And I like to wake up. I like to get on my phone and answer a couple of messages, a couple of emails. I like to have a coffee. I like to go down to the beach and watch the waves for a little bit, like 10, 20 minutes of watching the waves. And, you know, I'll probably answer a few emails again there, or I'll, you know, maybe take a call or something like that.
It's very zen.
Yeah, it is. Oh, it's got to be. For this period of my business, that's what it's got to be. Because I need time for creativity. I need to let my brain think about ways to optimize my business or how to grow it, or, you know, rather than just working, I need to leave space for growth and for creativity. Yeah,
that's so smart. I need to start doing that. And to Jackson, just listen to the waves for a bit.
Yeah, like seriously, I think it's underrated is giving yourself time to process and like time to let your brain kind of churn over.
Yeah, it's so true, isn't it?
Yeah, like
I've just started, like, obviously coming back from the meditation. I did a 10-day meditate, like 10 days no talking.
That's awesome.
Like 12 and a half hours, you meditate straight, no phone, like full monk, right?
It's a crazy cat.
Anyways, mate, it's fucking fatty. It's just nuts. But anyways, since I've been back, I've been doing at least an hour, trying to maintain an hour a day. And I find in that hour, 30 minutes in, like some of the thoughts that come are heaps creative.
Yeah.
And, like, you can problem solve, or like, and then I'll hit Kevin up. Kevin, bro, I got this idea.
Yeah. And that is so valuable. What you're doing there is it's actually just as valuable as an hour of work. You know, that hour of, and it's not saying that hard work's not important. I think that there's periods of time where you just need a nut down and you need to work your ass off. You know, you just need to get in there. You need to get dirty. You need to put in the work, and you need to make sure you're optimizing every single part of your life and your business. And then there's periods of time where you need to just go, okay, let's sit back. Let's reassess things. Where are we at? What's the next step? You know, and so then that way you're kind of pulling yourself out of it, and you're able to look at it from a big picture point of view, rather than being head down, one line down the road kind of thing. So I'm definitely not discounting hard work. I love hard work. I think that, like, putting in the work and putting your head down is so much fun, and it's rewarding, and it's exciting, but it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable because you end up becoming singular minded, and you don't end up allowing creativity in your workflow.
So what would you recommend, like, booking out in your calendar, like an hour a week or an hour a day of just stillness?
I'd say like even 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
Yeah, for me in the morning. Like I'm still doing work.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I'm still answering emails, but like I'm sitting at the beach and I'm giving myself, this is like before I leave for work. I might leave for work at like 9:30, whatever. Yeah. But like I'm at the beach, and like it's even just 15 minutes to stop and have a conversation with a stranger at the beach. Yeah. Like I had a conversation with this older lady, where I usually sit. You know, she had a beautiful dog, and like it reminded me of my dog, and not my wife and my dog, but my previous dog, and I started talking to her, and we started to get a bit of a gab on. Oh, where are you from? Oh, Terry Hills. I do real estate. I was like, no way. I used to live in Terry Hills. I grew up there. She's like, really? What's your last name? Freeman? Oh, yeah, that rings a bell. And then like, you kind of just end up with 15, 20-minute long conversation with a complete stranger.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful. I was like, I walked out of there. I was like, oh, man,
feel good,
I feel really, really, really like, I feel positive and I feel happy. And I just had a conversation with a random person who I wasn't there to gain anything. I wasn't there to make a relationship, build a connection, network, anything like that. It was purely
flow,
you know, person to person.
I love that.
Yeah, it's cool.
Mate, that's awesome. I'm actually quite curious with the big picture stuff you mentioned. To see your perspective and how you view your big picture, being in a different industry and sector to what we are. What does big picture look like for you?
Changes. It changes every month, man. Because I find out something new every month. Like for me, you know, that I went up to the snow in June. I didn't break a bone that time. I maintained structural integrity of my body. And I was just hanging out with some mates, and like we went up onto the mountain, and Saturday night we had a bit of a, we had a couple of beers, we're talking crap. I was like, oh, I have this really cool idea. What are you guys thinking? They're like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. And I was like, okay, cool. That's just like a couple of beers talk, The next morning I was like, it's actually a really good idea. And then and then the rest of that day, the whole of the Sunday morning, I was just sitting there churning. My brain was churning, and I was like, this is getting better. I love this idea. I can do this. I'll add this. I'll use this way to optimize that part of my business. I'll, I can get this person to supply this. And it just like, it flew, and it was just like this waterfall, and it just happened. So that was an idea that I want to do in the next year. But right now I also have to be realistic about what's achievable in the next 6 months.
Yep.
I'm currently working on a book.
Oh, nice.
So we're in the creative process now. So all the writing's done. All the recipes are finished. A
cookbook?
Yeah, it's a cookbook. Yeah.
For burgers?
Yeah, for burgers. Yeah. It's like, it's something, the working title, it's something along the lines of, 20 Instagrammable burgers that you just want to make. Yeah.
That's so cool.
And we're in the design phase of that now. So like they're putting together what kind of material you're using for the book, what kind of size do you want, all that crap. I'm also like, I'm going to New York in October, and so I'm going to be meeting people there. I'm going to be doing like networking over there, trying to get on YouTube channels and meeting up with influencers. So, and then by the time I get back, it's my wife's birthday. It's the anniversary of her mum passing, and then it's like November. And then it's like,
Christmas.
People are gearing up for, Christmas stuff. So I'll get busy with work, and I'll have to make sure that I'm available for clients. So then I have to kind of go, okay, well, I've got all these ideas, but I've got to be realistic about when I can apply them. Yeah.
Wow. It's full on.
Yeah. It's cool though.
Wow. Coming back to this stillness, man, maybe that's why I get the best ideas when I'm in the shower.
Yeah,
like that's when your creativity juices are flowing.
Yes.
It's got nothing going on.
That's
absolutely nothing.
Just just
shower more.
Yeah, I feel like with the rising cost of water. No, I seriously though, like sometimes I catch myself in the shower and I'm like, I've been here for 20 minutes.
You ever sit on the shower floor?
I can't, because we've got like a little, we live in a shoebox apartment. This thing's tiny, man. And it's got a bathtub shower.
Oh.
And so you
can sit in it. That'd be better to sit in,
bro,
no?
Not me.
Nah. No, you're too big.
It's like, it's about this wide, so my hips barely fit it.
Oh,
so
nice.
it's not comfortable. And like, if I was to sit, like the tap would be sitting here. This is just, But like, I mean, if you got, credit to you if you can sit on the floor, do it.
Give it a crack. But after this podcast is, well, not when the podcast is done, but towards the end, we're going to get up and Jesse's going to show us how we make some mad In-N-Out Wagyu burger with a Wagyu twist burgers.
Yeah.
If I was to, what would be the method about eating it really quick? I'm not, because the meat's too expensive for me to just eat that quick. But if I was to be a competitive eater and smash it, what's the technique? And does it differ? We've got Jay Webby coming on in a few weeks.
Oh, love that bloke.
So I want to see what your strategy is and what he is and compare the pair.
I think he's got a very different strategy to me because he's a freak.
He's a freak,
He's a freak. He's got natural ability.
His jaws are massive.
He's got jaw muscles that are bigger than my arms. He's got a massive mouth. He's just made for it. And I think that's awesome. I had to work so hard when I was starting out as a competitive eater. I'd get like a whole thing of chewing gum, like a whole packet, and just and just sit there and chew it and chew it and chew it and chew it and get like build up the jaw muscles.
Wow.
And you could feel like, you know, lactic acid, right? It's like this build up of shit in your muscles when you're doing an anaerobic activity for an extended period of time. I could feel lactic acid in my jaw muscles, weird as anything. And, you know, I used to sit down and eat bowlfuls of vegetables, 3 or 4 kilos, eat watermelon, drink water. But if I could boil it down to one thing for someone, if it's like, if they were to not do any of the actual legwork, but just rock up and try and eat fast, is try not to take too big a mouthful.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it's probably the easiest way, the biggest thing I could explain, because basically you only want to take a bite of something as much as you can swallow, because the most efficient way to eat is to bite and swallow at the same time. So you bite and then you swallow as you go to bite the next thing.
Really?
So you can bite and swallow at the same time.
Oh.
I used to do that all the time. You can like bite, swallow, bite, swallow, bite, swallow, and you get 4 or 5 bites into something before you finally need a drink of water.
Do you still do the same technique now?
I don't eat like that anymore.
You take your time when you're eating those
Yeah,
burgers.
I love my food. And
What's your favourite food?
I can't for the life of me.
If you had to say something, top of the mind, what would it be? First thing that comes
It's your
to mind.
last meal. You're about to be executed.
Geez, just give me a big steak.
A big,
man.
just
big
tomahawk or
Freaking huge, 2 tomahawks. Give me, like, I'm dying, bro. Be nice to me at least. Yes, give me a dry age. Or if I was just gonna have one meal, it'd be a dry age ribeye.
Yeah.
Oh, like a maybe 4 or 5 week dry aged. You know, cooked on the char grill first, and then just douse it in butter. Give it a baste.
I'm getting
Put some
hungry.
rosemary and thyme on it. Maybe even like create like a truffle jus or something. Oh, and then I don't often do it, and it's very unhealthy for you, but it is the most delicious thing you'll ever eat in your life.
Talk to me, son.
All right, so you get potatoes and you boil them, then you smash them so that they opened up and all of that beautiful starch on the inside is exposed, and it's like all fluffy and delicious. Then you deep fry it.
Yeah.
And what happens is, because you've got all that exposed starch there, it caramelizes and becomes crunchy and fluffy and delicious, and it takes in more oil. It's so unhealthy. and then what you end up with is like, it's this crunchy, fluffy, delicious, oily piece of potato.
Yum.
Yeah, it's better than fries. It's better than waffle fries. It's better than like mashed potato. It's like a combination of the two. It's amazing.
Oh. Maybe I'll have to lose a few kilos before you do that one.
Yeah, that's not very healthy.
No.
Wow.
When it comes to content creation and
that's what I'm keen on,
being
content.
an influencer and all that stuff, how does someone get into that sort of field in any industry? What would be your tips and advice for that sort of stuff?
Stop trying to finesse it. Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it. Just start. Like,
Yeah.
worst thing that happens is someone's going to say, "Oh, that sucks," and you'd be like, "Okay, cool, no worries, bro." Like, you should see the comment section of some of the stuff I do.
Yeah.
And they're sometimes my best performing posts. Like I did a mee goreng burger. No, it wasn't mee goreng. It was like Maggi noodle burger.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, "Oh, that's disgusting." I was like, "I don't care, bro." But like, if I could give anyone advice, just start and like learn to love it. I struggle with that. Like, you know, it's my job, so it's sometimes hard to love it. But then you get these creative moments where you're like, "Oh no, I actually really like this. This is cool.
Yeah.
This is fun." And then, you know, and really look at what other people are doing and try and make it personal to you. They call it the remix model. Like you take something that's proven, and that's because when you think about it, like humans have been around long enough that pretty much everything's been done, right? But not everything's been done that in a way that's unique to you. So, you know, really find your personality in your content and present that. And full honesty, my personality is not necessarily in my content at the moment because I'm so busy doing it for other people. But, you know, like I just filmed a video with my wife last weekend, and it's just, someone just finished editing it for me. And that's that's me. That's my personality. That's me with my wife in my home, cooking something that I love. And it may not do well at first, but people will smell that genuineness and go, yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
That's you. That's you in your element. That's you with your wife in your own home, cooking what you love. I want to be a part of that. I want to be able to experience that with someone, you know?
I like that.
Out of all the platforms, what's been the easiest and the hardest to crack?
TikTok, you can't make a science out of it. So TikTok, you can't sit there going, oh, well, this is how TikTok's done, because it's not.
Yeah.
It's so hit and miss. I've seen stupid things go viral, and I've seen some of the best content in the world do terrible.
Yeah.
Instagram, it takes a certain level of finesse, but it has to just be a bit more pretty than everything else. That's what Instagram is. It's just a little bit more pretty. It's a little bit more beautiful. I would say YouTube, it's not necessarily hard to crack, but you need to put in the work. It's one of those things that just takes time.
Like multiple reels a day?
Well, for like YouTube videos, like you just need to be able to put in the work, and it takes a long time. Like to edit a video and film it can take 12 hours easily.
Wow.
So I've got a good idea. I have to text.
Yeah,
Javon.
write it down, man. You got to take those moments.
I got to text it to Javon.
Yeah.
Wow. What's more important, the quality of the content or consistency? Or you can't really distinguish?
I think production value on a platform like TikTok and Instagram, not necessarily needed.
Yeah.
It can be a little bit edgy. It can be a little bit underproduced. It can be a little bit normal. It can be filmed on a phone. But something like YouTube, you need to really look at what you're trying to deliver. Like, you know, is it an important message, or are you trying to inspire people? Are you trying to give them something that's valuable? Are you teaching them something? And then that's got to be engaging for a long period of time. That's got to be really clean cut. Sorry, and I completely forgot most of the question.
No, it was more just like quality versus consistency.
Consistency is probably, I'd say it's very important actually, yeah. You have to be able to put out consistent content and actually continue a consistent story.
One a day or several posts a day?
I would say at the moment with the algorithm, 3 to 5 a week is fine.
Yeah.
It's fine as long as it's quality, or like it's good, not quality. You know what I mean? Like it's fun and it's funny and interesting.
Is it over posting?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, like sometimes people are like, "Shut up, you flog."
Yeah.
And sometimes when I'm posting, I'm like, "Shut up, you flog." You said the same thing over and over. You know, you've given them the same content over and over, even though it's like kind of the same. Yeah. So like, yeah. And like sometimes you just need to go into maintenance mode, and that's all right. You know, you can't sit there going, what's the next best thing every second of your life? Otherwise, you're just going to get exhausted. You're going to get burnt out.
How have you maintained, you're obviously at a pretty successful stage at the moment. How have you maintained that level of consistency with the hard work, the creativity and everything involved? How do you keep that up?
It's funny. I think I wouldn't say I'm necessarily inherently successful. I think I've built a platform for success. I think there's still ways to go. And I think I've still got a lot to learn. I've still got a lot to grow. I think I've got a lot of maturing to do from a business perspective, you know. I'm just an Instagram influencer really, I'm just an Instagram content creator. I'm good at what I do, and I'm probably better than a lot of other people in Australia. No offense, sorry guys. No, but like in reality, I understand the content that people want to see, and you know, and I'm a lot more bespoke than a big agency. But I've still got a ways to go. You know, I've still got things that I need to do that will make my business more mature. But I would say a lot of my success, or a lot of what I've grown, has come off the back of legwork in the early years, and also reputation. I worked tirelessly to always show people that I was caring for them and their business, and to not do things under the table, to keep things above board, to go the extra mile with people, to sit down with people and talk to them, to give people an extra bit of, 10 minutes here, 20 minutes there, to take the time to talk to people about their lives and what's going on with them, legwork, like giving people the time and building that reputation and showing people that, I'm not just, I'm not just a business, I'm a person. And I think that's
Coming real.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think that's slowly but surely coming back in droves,
Yeah.
I've got people who are contacting me that I spoke to 3 or 4 years ago. I don't know what I did, but I must have stuck in their mind for them to come back 3 or 4 years later and go, hey man, like, what are you up to? Do you still do this?
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you do for the people where you'll go to their restaurant or have their food and it's just shit? What's that experience like? Oh, mate, it's not my skills. It's your food shit.
That's a really hard one because you want to be positive for people. You don't want to leave a sour taste in people's mouths, but I think it's important to be honest with people. And so what I often do is I say, hey, look, this was great. This part of your whatever you did was really good. However, personally, I would do these things differently. Yeah. And just being honest with them and just saying, look, like, and even when I'm posting about them, and I'll often say, like, I'll draw more towards the positives, and then I'll maybe mention a couple of the negatives. I'll say, like I posted about someone the other day and I was like, look, like, they're new on the block. So like that gives people a bit of an idea that they've got, they're still kind of finding their feet. And I said, it's a really good product, but the meat was just a little bit too much fat in it. And, and...
Oh no, is the Wagyu going to be too meaty?
We'll see. I'll work it out. I'll work it out.
What do you say, Kev, when a property is either just shit or not going to perform?
That's hard, man. What do I say? Jay, what do you say? He just says it's shit. He's straight up. He doesn't care. He lists and sells too much to care. I don't know. I kind of dance around it. I kind of say, hey, look, like, we can look at it 2 ways. One, we can, invest some money and get it looking like
that's a good way to approach it. I like that.
Or the other way is, we leave it as is, but, like work on the minor things, get the presentation right. Yeah. But just know that the price that you're going to achieve is maybe a little bit lower than instead of if we invested the money. Yeah. So dancing
I think that's a good way to put it. Like at the end of the day, you're not there to make someone feel bad, but you're there to set expectations.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with setting expectations. Doesn't matter how good or bad their property and or burger and or whatever product is, there is nothing wrong with setting expectations and going, look at it yourself. Yeah. What are your expectations? And like, you really do need to do that with people because otherwise they have this false sense of security, And that sucks. It hurts. It hurts to do that to people.
Mate, that is fatty as.
Shut up. Did you get that for me today?
Yeah, we minced it. No, we minced it. We got it as minced.
Look at this. This is
we'll put it in the podcast and the video.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah, so it's from Victor Churchill. The butcher goes, he goes, are you sure
you want to mince
and I'm like,
patties?
And I'm like, oh, do you have Wagyu mince? He's like, no, we don't do mince. And I'm like, you can do any of those Wagyus. And I'm like, oh, we'll pick that one. And he's like, oh, you sure? I'm like,
you're
he goes,
kidding me.
Bro, I've never had anyone mince that before. He goes, like, that's going to be really expensive. And I'm like, it's okay. We're just going to use Daniel's card.
That's cooked, bro. That's like...
Is he going to taste good? I fucking hope so.
I'm going to have to treat this burger with so much care. This is actually giving me anxiety. I feel like I have to do this justice. I can't cook this on a flat grill. I've got to cook it on the char.
On the bar.
Because otherwise you're just going to end up with a
burger.
Don't get me wrong. Like, fat
up.
Is good.
Did I fuck up?
No, you didn't. You didn't mess up.
He's just dancing around it.
Yeah.
Setting expectations.
Oh, God.
No. You picked a beautiful piece of meat. I'm gonna have to treat that thing with absolute care.
Is it going to taste good?
I will make sure it tastes pretty good. The
He's
thing
hesitating.
with that much fat, it's going to be juicy and it's going to be delicious.
Yeah.
But it
bobber.
may reduce down quite a few bits. So like your patty that you have will be reduced down quite a lot in size when you cook it because the fat's rendering out. If we cook it on the flat top, you're going to end up cooking it which is a good thing. You've got like all this beautiful intramuscular fat there. This is not fat that's coming, the hard fat, which is on the outside. Intramuscular fat has a very different makeup. And it
just for the listeners, it's BMS 9+.
So it's Wagyu 9 plus.
I don't know what that means, but I saw
Marble
BM.
score.
Yeah, there you go.
Marble score, yeah. That is a beautiful piece of meat. That is the highest marble score you can get in Australia unless you go Kobe beef.
Yeah.
And then Kobe is just another
Triple.
level.
Quadruple price.
Kobe is just stupid.
That's all Jay eats.
Yeah. Like seriously, you gotta, it's worth a lot of money. So I think I'm gonna have to char grill that. And
have you made a burger with that meat before?
No, never.
Okay,
never. So you're testing me here today, which is good. I like it.
Maybe we can make some content while we do it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
We got a couple of cameras. We can work something out.
Yeah, I think we should show the people what we're working with. Oh my god! Yeah, this is going to be. We should almost call this Sydney's most expensive burger because I think it could potentially be Sydney's most expensive burger.
Wow, let's do it.
Like.
So for any next
how much was it per kilo?
$300.
$300 per kilo,
Yeah.
right? If you've got a 200 gram patty,
shrinks to 100 grand.
Seriously, so wait, hold on, $300 a kilo, and you've got like half a kilo is $150. Then 100 grams is jeez.
We got like
so it's a $45 a $30 patty.
Yeah,
really? No, I think my math is right. No, I don't know. No,
you're gonna get 10.
I can't. My head's not.
It can't be 10. It can't be 10 burgers.
No, $60
for the patty.
For the patty, if you're doing a 200 gram patty, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we got 1.3 kilos worth to cook a few burgers. So let's go.
Okay. Are we doing
I'm actually
this?
pretty hungry right now.
Doing it.
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it.
All right,
Killer.
let's get into
Thanks,
it.
lads.
But
thank you guys.
Oh, wait, P.S. All the agents out there, remember to use us to do your photography so we can pay for these.
And also, again, shout out Kyler and Jay, you legends, goats.
I will add to that. When you're looking for like high quality content on for real estate, it has to be freaking perfect.
Yeah, that's why we got Javon.
That's why don't listen to me about Instagram and TikTok when it comes to real estate. Very different.
Yeah.
Very different. Especially
really?
for Facebook. Yeah. You need it to be mint.
Mint as.
Yeah. So
Legend.
very different.
Thanks for the advice. Killer. Thank you.
Love it. Thank you, boys.